Hello, hello, and welcome to another Let's Draw Nerdy Things. Today I wanted to go over like a thought experiment of trying to take Mario characters that have not been babyfied. Many of them have. Many Mario characters have been turned into babies. Some of which, when I was doing research for this, I had no idea that there were baby versions of them, such as Wario, Donkey Kong. They both have baby versions in a Super Mario World 2 Yoshi's Island DS game. Also, Baby Bowser from the original Yoshi's Island for the Super Nintendo. That was actually, even though it looks like Bowser Jr., it is actually a baby version of Bowser to fit the baby theme from that game. And then also Baby Yoshi from Super Mario World, as well as some of the Super Mario Brothers, the new Super Mario Brothers games have a baby version of Yoshi that is, it doesn't really fit the same aesthetic, I feel, of the other baby characters, but it's still a canon baby Yoshi, so it is what it is. But yeah, so today I wanted to go through like what my thought process would be for taking a few characters and turning them into babies. So let's get into it. All right, so here I have the normal like baby characters, what we're used to seeing as far as baby Mario characters. Mario, Luigi, Peach, Rosalina, Daisy. These are characters that we get to play as in mostly Mario Kart, but Mario and Luigi have been babyfied in other games as well. And I want to go over Waluigi, Pauline, and Toad, because these characters have not been babyfied by Nintendo. So I'm going to go ahead and start with Waluigi. And I'm still working in the exact same canvas as I've been working on all of the other Let's Draw Nerdy Things. And I'll go ahead and get started. So the first thing I want to think about, I've got my pencil. Let's see. So it's analyzing these baby characters the way that they are. Few things to note. Mario and Luigi are both missing their mustaches because they're babies. But they do kind of have their full hairstyle, the normal hairstyle that we're used to seeing on them with the sideburns and everything. They've got almost their adult-sized noses, which I think is pretty funny. And then they've got really thin versions of their eyebrows. Although Mario's looks very, very arched here. It almost looks like it's supposed to be like back in the 30s, I feel like, when they started drawing Disney characters, Disney cartoons, they would have these lines that kind of represented eyes, but then they didn't have the white of the eyes, and that's kind of what this almost looks like. But Luigi's is definitely eyebrows, and so I'm going to stick with eyebrows. I'm going to say that these are supposed to be eyebrows. They also, as adult forms, they have full eyes with color and the white of their eyes and eyelashes and all of that stuff, or at least like a black line to represent eyelashes. But here they just have these black pupils, whereas the girls do have the full eye. Like, it looks like what adult Peach's eyes look like, what adult Daisy's eyes look like, what adult Rosalina's eyes look like. So there's differences between the baby boy characters and the baby girl characters. The baby girls, we'll get into that in a little while, but they also all kind of share a lot of other traits. But we're going to start with Waluigi. So Mario has a little circular head. Luigi has kind of an elongated head. But since Wario has kind of a triangular head, we're going to start with... Oops, did it again. We're going to start with kind of a triangular head for Waluigi. Give him kind of that pointy chin that he gets as an adult. And right now I am just really roughing things in. I'm giving a couple center lines for where his nose and his eyes are going to end up. And that way I can also draw his ears on there. Their ears are essentially the adult version of their ears. It's like their ears and their nose are the same size. And Waluigi's ears and his nose are kind of grotesquely shaped. And I feel like as a baby, he probably did not have all of this definition and all of this like stuff going on with his skin on his nose. So I'm going to make kind of a baby version of that. So we'll give him smaller ears, which I think I'm realizing right now that Waluigi is actually from the land of Hyrule, because that's where they have pointy ears. But we're just going to give him a baby version of his little downturned pointy nose. I also don't want to give him a full mouth like that, but I will give him a little smile, because they just have these little teeny smiles. Give him a little smile. Maybe give him a little tooth sticking out, because he's a very toothy guy. He's also going to need those same just kind of pupil eyes. And we'll give him some thinner versions of the kind of eyebrows that he has, which have these kind of 2 points at the end of them. We're also going to give him his sideburns, because the other babies have their sideburns, so he gets sideburns too. He's kind of starting to look like Dracula, which is why he gets Dracula outfits. And we're going to give him a little swirl in the front of his hair, because it's cute. His hair also, let's give him some detail in his ears. His hair also kind of pops out from behind his ears, so we'll give him a little tuft of hair back there. Then if we look at their hats are like their adult hats, just floating on top of their heads. So he's going to have his adult hat floating on top of his head. That's the inside of his hat. We'll do brim. Little depth to the brim. And then this comes down like that. And he gets his upside down L, because he is the upside down version of Luigi from Stranger Things. So there's that. So now that we've got his head, we need to move on to his body. Both Mario and Luigi have these kind of short, squat bodies, and they still have their overalls like they do as adults, but they're just little baby versions that end at the top of their legs, and then they've got these little ankle socks and little baby versions of their shoes. So we're going to do the same for Waluigi. We'll make him sitting down. Give him a squat little body. Give him his overalls. And he's got these kind of pointy tipped shoes. I don't know if you can see that. So we're going to give him like the baby version of these pointy tipped shoes. Some little bottoms on the shoes. We'll just have his arms hanging off to the side. They also all wear gloves, but they're not wearing gloves as babies, so he's not going to have gloves on either. I'll draw his little hand over here. And little fingers. He's holding himself up. Again, just really roughing everything in just to get placement, and then I'll add detail later. So that's my... Let's squish him a little bit. That's my Waluigi. I'm going to turn his opacity down, and we can start working on baby Pauline. So looking at Pauline, she does not have many of the things that the other baby princesses have, which is something hanging off of the front of their dress. They also all kind of have the same type of dresses, whereas Pauline has this, going out to party dress. They also are missing their earrings because they're babies. They haven't been pierced yet. They each have these little rosy cheek circle going on. And they all have the same kind of pacifier. So we're going to follow that lead. And we're also going to base her head off of the shape of their heads because it's like the same model. So we're going to start with her circle and a little blurb coming off of that circle. Draw the center line for the nose, center line for the eyes. Going back to their eyes, they do kind of follow the adult version of their eyes. So we're going to do pretty much the same thing for Pauline. However, because she's a baby, she doesn't get eyeshadow because that is for adults. But she still gets her eyelashes. And we'll still give her the little bit of eyelid. We're just not going to put eyeshadow on it because that's weird. And she gets little baby versions of her eyebrows. Have her look at us. And then give her that same kind of pacifier. Give her ears with no earrings. Another thing is the front of their hair is basically what their hair looks like as adults. But then the back of their hair is just kind of a short haircut. So we'll do the same for Pauline. She's got this kind of widow's peak in the front. It's parted down the middle. Stands up. And it has this kind of shape to it. And then we're just going to make it short. Short haircut. She's also got these feminine feminine style sideburns. So I'm going to try to erase a little bit here just for people that are not understanding what lines or what. I can see all of this mess and understand what it all means, but some people might not be able to see through all of the craziness. But that's kind of what I'm looking at. It's something like that. Have her hair come over here, maybe have it poke out over there. Then we're going to move to her body, which is just a little blurb. So we're going to give her a little blurb. And there's a separation right there. So the lower half is kind of these like underwear. The upper half is the dress itself. And Princess and Daisy both have those kind of like Renaissance style like dresses with the big poof at the bottom. But Rosalina doesn't. So we're going to kind of go off more of Rosalina's style dress and give her just these little things off to the side here. They each have these kind of shoulder spheres off of their dresses, so we'll give her those. And they're all like holding their hands out and pointing their fingers. So we're going to do that. But in this hand, since it's Pauline, we'll have her hold the microphone because she is a singer. Her shoes, she's wearing these high heels. We're not going to give her high heels because she's a baby. And all of the other girls are wearing these same kind of little shoes. So that's what Pauline gets. So she's going to have these little frills coming off of her underwear thing. And then she's going to have the same kind of plain shoes that the other girls get. It reminds me of Catholic grade school. Everybody's got to wear the same outfit so that nobody feels like they're left out. All right, so now we've got Waluigi and Pauline. Bring her opacity down. And work on our last baby, who doesn't really have any baby versions that are like him. But, I mean, he's a mushroom, so you just have to draw like a little baby version of a mushroom character. And he's already kind of baby looking. Like, he's got the squat body. He's got no legs. He's got the little pointy finger hands. Little tiny face, little pupil eyes. So we just need to make him look more babyish. Take some of that shape away, make things look a little less developed. So we're going to give him like smaller eyes, like little dot eyes. Give him a little tiny mouth. Give him some drool. Make him a drooly baby. Take the shape of this mushroom and just scale it way down so that it doesn't look as developed, it doesn't look as grown as it would if he were an adult. Bring this down a little bit more. Like so. And then these red dots that he has on his head, let's make those almost the same size like Mario's hat, Luigi's hat. Like they haven't had a chance to grow apart from each other from the expansion of his head as he gets older. Kind of reshape some of these lines here. And he's already got a squat body, but we're going to give him a smaller squat body. And he's already kind of got a diaper on. So we're just going to keep that the way it is. We'll make him sitting too. Put his little hand off here like he's holding himself up. And then for his vest, what I was thinking was we could do a little bib with like a little splatter of his drool on it. And then we can scale him up a little bit because Toad's pretty small. So we've got our 3 baby characters here. Now what we need to do is ink them so that we can see what they look like. And I guess we'll just start over here with Pauline. We're gonna give her cat eyes. I need to switch my eraser to where is it at? Inking, same technical pen. Maybe they're not that cat. They're maybe a little bit more arched. Do that. Ugh. And then the other girls all get, well, she has 3 eyelashes. She has 4 eyelashes. She has 2. 2, 3, 4. I guess she should get 5. 1, 2. Oops. Let's do this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then this eye. Do the same thing. Get that cat shape in there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And she gets a little bit of eyelid above. It's just not going to be purple. Give her irises. And her pupils. Sometimes this can be really tricky, trying to find the right spot for irises and pupils, and also the outline even can make such a huge difference if it's super off from one eye to the next. It just can throw off an entire character design, having their eyes not doing what they should be doing. So we'll do that. Give her the tiniest little nose. Basically just that. We're going to give her a circle for her pacifier, and then a little base for it. Like that. And then we'll finish these lines on a separate pass. Kind of connect that stuff. And then erase anything that is overlapping and looking crappy. Like that. Yeah. And then we'll move to the hair. Actually, no. Let's do the side of her head. It's a little bit too pudgy cheek. Ear. And then the other cheek. That. Then we're going to move to the front of her hair. Get that in there. And then the rest of her hair. And for all of this, I definitely am relying on, in my technical pen, I bumped up the amount of streamline and the amount of stabilization because I want these lines to be smoother, easier. Because there is a lot of like flowing lines going on with this illustration. So I'm going to hold off from drawing any more hair until I get some of her body in there. So start with the little poof on her shoulders. And then the little collar shapes. Get that little poof there. And then draw in her arm. And start working on her hand. So I'm going to throw some lines down just so I can get that shape. And then throw in where each of her fingers would be. So I can come back through and erase. With the inking process, it's always better to draw over your stuff and then go back and erase in order to make things look right than to make something look not so great just so that you don't have to backtrack. Do that. Give the microphone some little microphone details. As such. All right. Oh, and then I'm going to draw in this other hand. Well, actually, I'll go back to this. Draw in the front of her dress. Then draw in this hand. So we're going to draw that as a little circle. Draw her little thumb sticking out. And then each of her fingers. And then I can come back through and erase where all that stuff connects. erase a little bit of this. But I like the other two fingers kind of being behind. Their hands are like a ball with little finger shapes coming out of them. So I'm going to stick with that. Let's go to her underwear shape. Oh, underwear shape now. She's just kind of like that. They each have these. Well, she doesn't have those little frillies, but I'm gonna give Pauline the little frillies at the bottom of the underwear. I think it's funny. And then some stubby little legs. The shape of her shoes. That. And that's about it for that foot. We'll do this other foot. Same thing. Oh, wait. Let's give it a little bit of an angle back so that her heels kind of line up. So I can redraw that and erase the extra thickness there. Get rid of that point. Do that. Give her a little strap thing there. That. It's looking about right. Now we can finish her hair. Which I may have to do some erasing to connect some of these pieces. But that is okay. It's okay to erase what you've already drawn. I have absolutely spent hours working on a drawing and not only erased things, but just completely trashed the entire thing because it just something about it didn't feel right. Hours and days worth of work down the drain, and it's okay. Get some of these hair details kind of flowing through here. This one looks kind of bad. We'll fix that. That looks a little better. All right. Then we'll move on to Toad. He's going to be real cute. Real cute little baby. We'll even give him a little bit of separation. Oh, wait. That's not enough. That's pretty good. And his little beady eyes. A little smile. A little bit of Rick and Morty drool coming out of his mouth. Because he's drunk. That looks pretty good. Erase that little bit of overlap. Connect the rest of this. And get these circles in there. Let's connect that. Get another circle over here. Another circle over here. erase any overlap. And then move on to the bib. Give him a little bib with a little yellow. And a little splash of his drool. Maybe I'll move that off to the side a little bit. It's a little too centered. I'd rather it be kind of like under the drool. Little drool splash. I guess we'll move to his shoes next, since they're kind of covering everything up. So we'll draw those in. Pretty simple, easy shapes. Stop moving. Like that. Oops. And then his diaper. Which it's kind of funny thinking of Toad just like perpetually being in a diaper. But he's kind of been in a diaper the whole time we've known him. He's never grown out of diapers. Kind of funny to think about, Toad. Can't use the bathroom like a normal person, huh? We'll just have that kind of... it's like he has shoulders there. It's like I don't want to see him with shoulders because I feel like that's weird, but he does actually have shoulders. I guess it's fine. Just do that. Give him the same little ball hand. 1, 2, 3, 4 fingers. Get rid of the overlap. Leave the last 2 behind it. Little baby Toad. And then we're going to move to baby Waluigi. Waluigi. I'm not going to do any highlights and eyes just yet because that can come later. Right now I just want my outlines in there so I can see what they look like. Let's do that. Give him his little curly hair. Draw the side of his face. His little pointy chin. We're losing one of his ears to Pauline's hair. But that's okay. The underside of his hat. And a little bit of depth from his brim. Circle from his letter mark on his hat. It is funny that his name starts with a W, but his hat is just an upside down L. I mean, I get it. Because Wario's hat, Wario's W is an upside down M, and he's the upside down of Mario. But it's still weird. Give him his, oops, little suspender straps. And the little pant leg hole for his legs to pop through. Let's delete some of these overlaps. Clean it up a little bit. All right. What is going on? They have little ankle-high socks. So he's going to have these really stubby legs and little ankle-high socks. And then otherwise his shoe is going to kind of follow the same format as his adult shoe. See, this I put enough detail in it. I want to do a second layer so that I can draw his shoe without ruining Pauline's hand. And then where Pauline's hand is, I can erase shoe lines. And if that's sticking out there. No. And then I can merge that down with the rest of my drawing. Oops. Easy as that. Draw his little sock line. And then the rest of his body. And you're not going to see much of his hands, but I'll at least give the impression that he's got hands back there. So now we've got our three characters inked. Next piece of the puzzle is adding color to each of these. So on one layer here, we're going to go ahead and start adding in color. Again, there's a much easier way to do this. I think it's like as simple as grabbing and pulling over into here or something. I don't know. I don't know how to do it. You're supposed to be able to just pull this into this. And it's supposed to make the color palette, but I don't know how to do it. I'm also going to switch to just a normal technical pen and up the size so that I can do things a little bit quicker since I don't need to be as precise. I'm going to be careful around the edges, but the center I can kind of scribble a little bit more and leave gaps for just dropping color into. So we'll do Toad. Pauline looks like she's maybe a little bit more on the pink side. I think they're all looking, or so far these two are looking maybe a little bit dark. But we can brighten that up. it's also kind of a wise thing to separate out color families. So where's Waluigi? He's kind of maybe more of like a yellowish skin tone, more Italian looking, because he's Italian. So we'll do that. But I'm going to leave all of my skin tones just on one layer by itself. His legs and his hands. I think that's it. So that way I can go to my brightness and brighten up all of their skin at the same time. I can also do, I'm going to do like a gray, and I'm just going to hit all of the spots that are white with this gray. And it's on its own layer. And the reason that I want to do that is because it's really hard. Well, I guess I could change the color of the background too, but it's a lot easier for you guys to see what I'm doing if I've got a white background. But these areas that are white are really hard to see when you're trying to paint white on white. So I can paint it gray and then go back through after the fact and brighten it up. So what does she get? Her socks. You know, also splitting apart the different color families, your whites, your skin tones, your clothing, your hair, all of that stuff, helps to be, like, you know, allows you to be a little bit more messy with your coloring process. So I'm going to do that. Here's all my grays that I just made, and I'm going to brighten it all up. Maybe not go 100% white. Go to like there. Now I can go kind of fine tune some of this stuff. Some of those edges. Cool. All right. So there's the whites. Let's do reds, which is going to be Toad and Pauline. So Toad gets his red circles on his head. That. This is also on a new layer. Clean up these spills. And I think that's it on Toad. And then Pauline, her whole dress is red. So we'll do that. Waluigi doesn't have any red, right? No. Oh yeah, there was another thing that I just thought about for keeping their skin tone on a separate layer. Let's do a clipping mask. Since these are all babies, they're gonna have some like rosier cheeks. And it's a lot easier to keep that rosiness clipped onto the skin tone if it's on its own layer. And they're going to have little rosy noses. Except for Waluigi, who gets like a... Here, let's tone that down. Maybe make it add. No. Overlay. Yes. What does that look like? It's not really showing up. Let's go back to normal. But I want to brighten it. Maybe change the hue to more pink. Like that. Because Waluigi specifically has this bright pink nose that's like somewhere in this realm. But we're not going to make his whole nose pink. We're just going to do the front of it. Make him look like he's maybe just got a cold for the time being, but we all know what it's going to develop into. This monstrosity. Okay. Next, we'll move to... Oh, wait. Let's go back to her dress and make her little underwear this brighter pink. Inking technical pen, good. Erase. Good. Blues. So, Pauline doesn't have any blues. Oh, her eyes are blue. Toad has the blue in his bib. Pauline's eyes are kind of almost like a tealish blue. Cyan, teal blue. We'll add the little extra detail into that. Blur it together. Add some highlight down at the bottom. It's kind of barely visible, but it's still there. I also want to give her a little bit more rosiness in her cheeks. And maybe I will do that like little circle that the other girls have. Just kind of like there and there. And then give her a little pink in her eyelids. I guess, well, oops. See, I'm mixing things together here. Those things are on the wrong layer, but that's totally fine. I don't care. I'm also gonna take like a lighter blue. Oops, there's too much spill. A lighter blue to do Toad's saliva, his drool. And then we'll move to yellows. So all of them have yellow. Toad's got it on his little bib. Since this is a layer above, I need to start being a little bit more careful. Waluigi's got yellow on his L, but it's a little bit brighter. And on his buttons. And then Pauline has this gold bracelet and these gold earrings. And since we're not giving her bracelets and earrings, what we're going to do instead is give her a gold pacifier. And a gold microphone. Like so. Next layer, we'll do browns. They all have brown. So Pauline's got brown hair. We'll do the upper part of her hair a lighter dark brown. It's not a light brown, but it's a lighter dark brown. So we're going to do that up here. And then the lower part of her hair, we're going to make a darker dark brown, so that it already kind of looks like it's slightly in the shadow. Like that. Fill in that. Fill in that. Do it on this side as well. Fill it over there. Fill in that. Pauline is getting there. She's almost done. All right, we'll move to Waluigi next. He has kind of a grayish brown hair. So we'll do that for his hair. And then his shoes are kind of like an orangey brown. So we'll do that. Did I color in his socks? I don't remember. I don't think I did. It's hard to tell because it's all white at this point. Careful over other colors that are on layers below. Drop that in. Let's see. One way to find out was just to do that. I did not color in his socks. So I'm gonna eyedrop that white, and on the same white layer, color in his socks. Is there anything else that I missed? White? I don't think so. No, but I'm noticing things spilling out. Like her skin tone a bunch. Here, 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 here. Just want to clean that stuff up. And then her underpants. That's kind of spilling over too. That looks better. Alright. And then Toad also has... Let's brighten this back up. Toad also has brown for his shoes. It's a little bit more of an orangish brown. Bloop. And then bloop. Do Waluigi's purples. It is like a purple. We are going to... we're going to leave the inside of his hat to color it a deeper purple so that it looks like it's inside. And we're going to draw around this so that we can do that. Easy peasy. Trying to make life easier any way we can. And making art digitally is already helping so much. Actually, we'll make the inside of his hat the same color as his little pantaloons, his overalls, which is kind of like a darkish, bluish, purplish, grayish charcoal. Darkish, bluish, purplish, grayish charcoal. That. Drop that color in there. Drop that color in there. Can see there's some rough spots, but that was not really good. On that darkish, bluish, grayish, purplish stuff, we will also apply that to the soles of her shoes. And then the tops of her shoes we're just going to make basically black. Or as close to black as possible. Because she wears black high heels. But I still want to be able to see the outlines. Let's fill those in. And there's that. So now we've got our 3 baby characters. Now we can start adding things like highlights. And what I like to do is add a layer above the black. Double tap to get my white. Actually, I'm going to go to just normal technical pen. And that way you can draw right on top of the black. I don't like that. I'll do that. And it don't matter. You can draw on top of everything. Give her some white highlights on her golden binky. That. Get rid of that stuff. Okay. So, next. The next part of this would be adding some shading to bring all of these characters into more of a sorry. Next thing would be to add shading to add some depth, some dimension to all of these characters. So I'm pretty happy with all of the color choices and how all of that looks, but I'm still going to group it all together, duplicate it, and flatten it, and then get rid of the other layer so that I can add a layer, make a clipping mask, make it black, go into my airbrush tool and start adding shading that way. And I'm going to bring the opacity down. Just start adding some pretty simple shading throughout. Like so. What? I have no idea what just happened. I think I may have drawn this entire thing without being live. Oh my god. Mr. MB, were you able to see any of this process? Can you let me know in this chat? Or is it just now live? I don't know what's happening. Or when did you say yo? I'm not sure. Give me a clue. You just got here. Do you know if the live has been going, or did it just start? I think I may have set this up incorrectly. Because I'm almost done. But I don't know if this live stream actually ended up working out. I don't know, maybe the live been going. Okay. Well, I guess I'll find out. I guess I'll find out after the fact. Because yeah. So I'm using OBS to have this all connected, the camera, the iPad camera, all of that stuff, and to be able to like switch through scenes and such like that, and like talk in different ways. But I was like, huh, nobody's popped in the chat this time. And then I looked over and there was a little button that was highlighted in OBS that said go live. And I hit that. And then like 2 seconds later, you said, yo. So I don't know. Maybe it was just a timing thing. But I guess I will find out at some point. I'm going to make this an overlay. I hope it's been going live because I went through the whole process of coming up with the babyfication of these three characters. It didn't get cut. What do you mean it didn't get cut? Like it didn't make it? Like it just started? Or it didn't get cut as in like all of it is there? You were my eyes, Mr. MB. You were my eyes to the internet. Man, it's so bright. I wish it like is washing out what I'm seeing. It does not look as bright as that from what I can see. Multiply. Look at that. See, that looks insane on my screen. Pauline's new look in Donkey Kong Bonanza, I think, is amazing. I have been playing it, and it's a very, very fun game. I was a little skeptical of the Donkey Kong redesign at first, but after playing through that game, it's just so much fun. The destruction aspect, I can't get enough of it. Like I just want to spend hours in each level smashing the entire level apart. I don't know if that's like I like the kind of grindy chores in gaming where I want to just work at it and work at it and work at it for like no real actual reason. But it is, I mean, it's fun. I like it. Pauline is cool. At some point it'd be fun to have someone do the 2-player mode where she's blasting words at bosses and stuff, especially in some of the boss rush challenges that are just kind of annoying to have to go through to get the collectibles, but yeah, it's really fun. I know that you don't have a Switch 2 yet, but I'm excited for you to get one. I'm trying to encourage everybody to get a Switch 2. Just because, I don't know, at this point, I can understand why people wouldn't want to get one. Since basically all that's been on it is Mario Kart. And even people that have been loving Mario Kart are starting to not really care about Mario Kart anymore because it seems like it's a very limited amount of things that you can do in that game. And with it being an $80 game, it totally makes sense why people would want to wait until there's more on the system before they start spending money just to have an $80 game that's pretty easy to get through. And it's fun, but it's just there was so much to do in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe on the Switch. So much. And Mario Kart World is just, it's so limited. It is really hard to see the details of the shadows. I'm noticing. I think I need to figure out a new method for presenting this stuff. See some of the shadows, but anything on the skin tone is just kind of lost. How are things going with you, Mr. MB? Sorry for doing such a late stream again. One of these days I'll be able to do a much earlier stream. Once I figure out how to make everything work in sync between job and channel. I also have been working on my Behind the Pixels video edit. It is taking quite some time, but it's going to be so much fun to actually get to post that. It was a really fun call, and it was a really fun interview, but there's just so much to go through. Blend a few more things here. Get this stuff kind of balanced out. Maybe a little bit easier to see some of the shadows now in that bright version. Let's see. I'm going to add overlay gray like that. And then I'm going to do brightness and darkness. It's kind of more looking like what I see. Not really. It's like somewhere in between that. I want to add some more gold stuff. I'm going to add some yellow. Put it on top. Make it brighter. So some yellow off to this side. And now she's got a golden microphone. I guess the last thing I can do on this is add some shadow underneath their bodies. Just to ground them a little bit. Y'all are grounded. Grounded babies. And I'm just scribbling it in so that I can blur it. What kind of loud noises are happening outside? Is there something that I'm missing? Some kind of news that I'm missing out on? I'm actually not 100% sure where you're at either, but if it's that early in the morning for you and there's loud noises happening outside, I don't imagine that they're good loud noises. Oh, there's a concert? That's not that bad. Unless it's like I don't know. Some kind of crazy metal concert and it's 1 o'clock in the morning and you're trying to sleep. Then that wouldn't be cool. There was a concert happening actually while I was trying to do my interview. It was the area that I live in, apparently right down the street from my apartment. There's this little spot that bands will set up and just like play on a Sunday in the middle of the day. And I've never heard them play. I've been here in this apartment for like a month. It's 2:25 in the morning. Oh my goodness. What are you doing up so late? That's okay. I've been up that late here in the United States a few times this week already. I'm right there with you, Mr. MB. But no, there's a little concert spot right down the street from my apartment. And I'd never heard them play before. I heard that they would do it sometimes, but they never had until the day that I had my interview set up with game designers because, of course, why wouldn't they play that day? Just gonna go ahead and add some highlights here. A little bit of highlights. My next step with this channel, which I think will help for anybody that actually wants to see the art the way that I see it, is I want to make an Instagram somewhere where I can post this art. I mean, I have an Instagram, but I want to make like a special Behind the Pixels Instagram. Or not Behind the Pixels, but Level Up Creative Instagram. So that I can post this art. People can get a better idea of what I'm seeing, since it doesn't really show up quite the same on camera, or possibly even on stream. Like so the first time I did this live, I had a view of my iPad screen. It was like me sitting next to my iPad screen, basically, and then you couldn't see what my hands were doing because my hands were just kind of out of view. And so I went with this approach because there were things that I was talking about, like pinching to zoom and blah, blah, blah. But yeah, even with that, I'm not 100% sure that all of the color translates onto YouTube the same, or if there's a little bit of a loss in color. Probably not that bad, though. I can't imagine it would be that bad. Give her some highlight in her hair. Blend it in. Like so. And then maybe I'll make the background a little bit more bright and colorful and fun. Because they're babies. And there we have it. There's my Waluigi, Pauline, and Toad babyfication, or babality, as they said in Mortal Kombat. You can post it up. Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, community posts, just like right on YouTube. I will post them there. Very good point, Mr. MB. I appreciate it. I don't know why I didn't think about that. But yeah, I think I'm sorry that it's only like a half an hour in after you had joined, and you know, I also am curious. I had posted a thumbnail, and the fact that I was going live a day and a half ago, and then realized that I was going to be getting kind of a short day at work, and so I was actually honestly thinking about like where you are time zone wise, and thinking about trying to get on early, a little bit earlier than 9 o'clock here. And so I changed the time to 8 o'clock. I'm wondering, were you expecting it to be at my 9 o'clock and that's when you popped in, or I'm curious. I'm like talking directly to you at this point. Because you're the main one that wants to talk to me on these live calls or on these live streams. Because I ended up changing it to 8 o'clock my time maybe 6 hours ago or something. And so that might have been maybe a bad idea. I don't know. I'm still trying to figure this stuff out. It's still a YouTuber in infancy at this point, which is why I drew babies, because I'm a baby when it comes to being a YouTube content creator. I'm not a YouTube content creator adult. I'm an adult, but not like a YouTube adult. I'm a baby. I don't know how to do this stuff. I'm still figuring it out. But that's okay. It takes time. It's only been April to May, May to June, June to July. It's only been 3.5 months of doing this stuff. So once I get a little bit more used to things, once I get a little bit more used to the buttons that I'm supposed to push in order to go live, that should be a lot more helpful in actually making all of this stuff work. I don't know if this live worked. I don't know if any of my drawing actually made it onto the channel. I don't know if anybody watched anything. I know that you did, Mr. MB. I really appreciate you and your commitment to making sure that I know that at least somebody is watching my videos and like joining my lives. And yeah, I hope you stick with me through the rough patch of getting my head around all of this stuff and learning everything and setting everything up properly. It's a lot to take in, and I'm not 100% sure how to do it all, and I don't really have anybody other than ChatGPT and other people that have made YouTube videos explaining how to do this stuff. So I'm just kind of winging it and hoping that it works. But yeah, I am gonna let you go to bed, Mr. MB, at 2:33 in the morning. And I am going to call it. This is an hour and a half long stream, if it worked out. Or maybe it's only a half an hour stream. I have no idea. I guess I'll find out after I end this live stream. But yeah, I'm going to take your advice. I'm going to post the final image of this on the as like a community post. And yeah, if anybody else ends up seeing this video, feel free to laugh at me because I have no idea what I'm doing. But I hope that you actually got some kind of enjoyment out of it, maybe learned something. And if you are interested in design focused gaming content, please feel free to subscribe if you haven't already. Leave comments on videos, leave likes, everything helps. Watch some of my other content That'd be great. And yeah, I appreciate everybody out there that gives me even a moment of their time. Thank you, and I will see you next time.